Hello, and here I am again, Trendy Templates, to go on with the second part of the instruction on how to change this outfit into a line and one, even though there are no PSD files available. The only thing that I find in my inventory are a couple of PNG files, and those PNG files are being used to either texture the skirt or the belt or the collar or the templates, the shirt and the pants model. There are a lot of questions why I don't make any PSD files available. Well, that is because these are no templates, but these are generators, and generators invite you to use your own creativity. But I give these textures, these PNG textures, as a bonus, and that is only because you can use them as a guide, and I'm going to show you how to use them as a guide to create that linen outfit. The first thing I will do is, because they are full perm, I can download them to my hard disk, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I double click it, and then you can see here save, and you can choose save as a PNG. And if I do that, it opens the folder in my hard disk where I want to save it. So I said save, that is perfect. This one I have done, and I'm going to do that for all the other ones as well. So I'm going to open them all at once. There we go. And starting with the belt, I'm going to save this as a PNG. Save and close it. And this one, save as TJ, that I don't want. I want to have it as a PNG, so be careful that you choose that correctly. And this is how I'm going to do them all. Saving to your hard disk is something that is for free, so you can save any texture to your hard disk. There we go. Having done this, I'm going to go over to Photoshop to show you how to create a new texture for these models. So you can do this in GIMP as well, but I use Photoshop, so that is the easiest thing. What I want to do is I'm going to use them with Line Series 6. Those are textures that I've gotten from the board. So I'm going to drag in these textures. No, I don't need them all. I want the sand and the taupe one. Those ones I'm going to use. So I drag them here in Photoshop, and I'm going to save them, edit, and save them, define them as a pattern. There we go. That one, line and taupe, and then I can close it. And this one, edit and preset, define pattern, sand. There we go. Close. So now I can have them under my pattern button. Another thing that I will need are regular templates, and you can get regular templates, the lower body part and the upper body part, by getting my basic tutorial. In my basic tutorial you will both find this one. It's a free one that you can just pick up. So you can pick up this one, and the UV template, because those we are going to need. Let's start with opening the upper body template. If I do that in Photoshop, you will see this is the upper body template, and within this upper body template I'm going to make a new outfit, more or less from scratch, but with one big help. I put my cursor, I select the background, and now what I do, I drag in this template. And if I drag it in, it automatically finds the exact position. So now it is in my Photoshop, and if I take away the guide layers here, oh no, I have to confirm that it is in there. If I take away the guide layers, you can see that there is exactly that pattern that I had in Second Life. It is here and now as a guide in my Photoshop. I can rasterize this layer by right clicking and then choose rasterize. And now it is a simple layer. How am I going to use this as a new outfit? Well, I wanted, maybe you can remember, I wanted to have this one in the darker linen structure, and I want these lapels here in a lighter color, and I want to do the buttons in a contrasting color as well. Good. Now let's start. I'm going to select the pixels of the base. So I'm doing that by right-clicking, select pixels, and now I'm going to create a new layer here, and I'm going to fill, and it doesn't matter, I'm going to fill them with a white color. So Shift Backspace, I'm going to fill them with the foreground color. I could also use the fill bucket to fill them up. If I take this away, you can see this is the base. And this base, with Control D, I get rid of the selection. This base I'm going to fill with a pattern. And I double click to get the layer style window. I choose the pattern overlay and I choose that darker pattern. Here it is. I would like to have this at 50%. That makes it a bit more realistic, otherwise the thread would be too big. This looks like nothing, does it? Well, what you can do now is, if you open this layer and you set this one to multiply, then all of a sudden it takes all the shades and shadows onto your darker line and texture. So that's one helpful start. Now I'm going to make this lighter lapels, and I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to create above this base layer, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to use my pen tool to make a selection of the lapel. I will take this one away so I have a better view of where the lapel is, and here I'm going to create and take small steps, and if you have set a step right out of control, just simply Ctrl Z to undo that one and get on with your steps and follow the line as neat as you can. There, now I created a path, and if I go to the Path tab, I see here the work path. All I need to do is click here I have the stroke button, this is the fill button, fill with the foreground color. So if I go back to my layer now and I remove this overlay, then you can see here is my lapel. I don't need that path anymore, so I can delete the path. I go back to my layer and I call this lapel left, and this one I should call base. There we go. And the lapel left I'm going to fill with a pattern as well. So double click on it, choose pattern, choose the lighter one, also 50% of the scale, and click OK. How does that look? Well, this is the lapel. It doesn't look anything until I put my overlay on it. And this is how it looks now. So now I'm going to do the same, exactly the same for the other lapel. I create a new layer. I take away the base layer. I take away my left lapel. I call this lapel right. Well, it is actually the other way around, but this is how I look at it. And with my pen tool, I'm going to create a new path and fill it with my foreground color and then get a pattern overlay. Now what I can do is choose here, right click, copy layer style, copy layer style and go to this one and say paste layer style, and then I have them exactly the same way, and I put the overlay back on, and this is how it looks now. Good, so far so good. Now the buttons, because I don't want these buttons to go over the whole thing like this. So I'm going to create a new layer, call it button, and I'm going to use a brush. I choose the pencil tool, and I will enlarge the pencil until it is exactly the size that I need. If I take away the base, I can see better how large it should be. This is it. In this case, it is 40 pixels. I use the square bracket tool to enlarge the brush. And when I'm exactly here, I just click it. There. And now if I take away the multiply layer, then you can see here I have this little button. And this button, if I keep the selection, I'm going to fill in with colors that are being used in the base. So if I click the base and I get really close, then I can see different colors being used in this line and texture. And with my selection tool, I'm going to pick a darker one, and using X to get the other part in front, I choose a lighter one. There we go. I got two different. Have the button selected, and I have this selection file. Then I go to Filter, Render, Clouds, and I can do that a few times with Ctrl F until I have a color that I think, yeah, that's about it. This is, you can see that there's vaguely two colors in. This is a bit darker. Every time you do it, it gets a bit different. Well, this is fine. Doesn't matter exactly how you do it, and until you are satisfied. And then open this one up again, and you see now that it has a nice button. I must say that I think this is a bit too harsh to my taste, so I take the blur tool here and I go to my shade, and I will blur this shade a bit out there. And I think this looks very good. I can copy the button by Ctrl J, and then here move this button to fill the other button here down below. I get a bit closer, and I use my blur tool again here to also blur, well, come on, blur tool, to also blur this part a bit out. There. This is my upper part. And that looks pretty much what I would like it to be. If I'm going to open the lower part as well now, and I am going to drag in this lower part template, just drag it in, there we go. Oh, let's get it down a little bit here. Come on. There. Take away the base, take away the guide. I want to make a new layer below. I can rasterize this one. I select the pixels here. I go to the lower one. I fill them with a texture. I don't care what texture it is, because I'm going to put a pattern overlay anyway. And I'm going to take the darker pattern. And now, not 50%, but because it is the lower part, it is 40%. I explained that in some of my other tutorials, how that matches completely if you take 80% of the top part. This one I'm going to put to multiply again, and there you go. Now I have a perfect lower part. Oh, excuse me, a perfect lower part for my linen trench coat. I'm going to save these two files as files that I can upload. So I choose PNG files, lower body template PNG. Well, that is fine. Of course, you would give them a more understandable name. I do the same for my upper part. PNG. I'm going to show you a nice trick though. Now in Second Life, I'm going back to Second Life. Here I am. And I'm going to show you a nice trick on how to color these temporarily, just to see how they look like. I go to Edit here, and when I click Fabric, I choose Local. Because I have heard that it may be a rumor, but that the temp upload of textures is going to be removed, disappear after the next release. So I do it in local textures. I click Add, and here you can see my folder that I have downloaded stuff, so it finds it automatically. I choose the upper part. I say upper part, I say OK, and I say save, and I do the same now with the lower part. It doesn't cost me a single penny. Add lower part. There we go. Lower. OK. And save. And save. There we go. And now you can see, if I am going to stand on the post stand, and I get a little bit closer, now you can see how it should look like. Does it raise a bit? Yes. How it should look like when it is done. Well, I like it, but I would like to have a bit more shades, for instance. Well, I'm going back to my Photoshop. I'm going to my guide layer. I going to the base. I'm going to select the base pixels. I'm opening my guide layer. This is all. You can also find this in the download in the free tutorial. I'm going to female baked, and with Ctrl J I just copy the base cutout that I need. And now I'm going to drag this down so it comes out of the layers there. So take this away. Here it is. This is far too much, far too much. I'm going to take it to 35%, and I don't necessarily want it on that side. So with my eraser tool, I find a very soft brush there, make it a bit bigger, and I will erase the sides of this, because in the sides I really don't need it. I want it more or less at the body texture, like the breasts and so on. And I don't want them here on the upper part either, but I want them on the lower part. And now look what has going to happen. I'm going to save this one as save as, and I choose PNG, and I save it as the upper body template again. I said yes, I want to replace it, and I go to the PNG options, and now you can see that these changes have automatically been taken place in, there it comes, in Worlds. So I don't have to upload it again, but by using the local file, it uploads and changes everything that I change. I think this is what I want. So I'm leaving it like this, the skirt part.